YouTube land, it's Debbie from the Canadian Crocheter. I know I posted yesterday and I'm posting again today, but I promise I will not be doing the Vita or the Vlogust for two reasons. One, I don't have a lot to say every day, and two, I'll be busy watching all the other vloggers doing that or the podcasters doing the Vita. I find it fun to watch, but I don't have that much to say. So what I'm going to do today is going to show you what I've been working on the last week. I've been very, very busy. So a couple of videos ago, quite a few videos ago, I started a red and white blanket because I had tons of this big ball yarn. As you can see, my intention was to make it, just keep going and adding to it and make it huge. But honestly, I got bored out of my mind. And I still have two of these massive things. What I'm going to do is probably make stockings out of these or something like that. But I got bored out of my mind. And quite honestly, it got very, very heavy. So this is what I came up with. This was what it was. I'm going to stand back and show you. I started with the granny blanket, granny square. And then I got bored. So then I started adding on either end, just stripes. And then I got bored with that. And then I said, I'm going to just add another go around with some chain stitches. And then I finished it off. I got bored again, finished it off with a popcorn stitch, like a little bobble stitch. And I'm not sure if I can, so this is what it kind of looks like. It's quite big, and it'll look great at the cottage. I'm taking all of these blankets, by the way, to the cottage, because that's where we, in the winter, like to cuddle and snuggle and, you know. Anyway, this is a good size for my husband, actually. I tested it on him to see how big it was, and it fits him fine. So yeah, I did not want to add any more to that. So that one's done. Now, a while ago, way back in my first video, I talked about granny squares. I had, at that point, I had recently learned how to make granny squares and got addicted to it. And I started making, I'm not sure where I heard it, I'm not sure where I heard it from, but they were doing a ugly granny square blanket. And I believe that was a couple of years ago, but I decided to make my own. And what I would do is I would just take all these scraps or half skeins of yarn and just make granny squares everywhere. So waiting for my son at school, make one or two granny squares. I put them all in a big box, all different crochet hooks, all different yarn types. And then the problem was I had no idea how to join them, but I recently learned from YouTube, from a couple of different YouTubers. I think the best one out there is Bella Coco. I found her tutorial very helpful. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing, is joining all these granny squares. So now there was no thought put into the color choices. What I would do is have a big bin of partial skeins or little pieces of yarn, and I would make it into a game. I would just close my eyes, reach in, and whatever color I have, that's what's going in. And my whole point was to make it an ugly granny square. So I did that. Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to stand up again. This is my, okay, sorry about the noise. This is my first ugly granny square. Now this is all worsted weight yarn. That was the only planning, was the thicknesses of the yarn. So I did all this, and then I just bordered it in gray, and yeah. It's my ugly granny square. I actually love it. I must love ugly granny squares because I love this. It's wonderful. And it's all acrylic so that, you know, washing. Now, I have not blocked any of these squares. It's an ugly granny square blanket. Like, who needs to block that? It's not for show. strictly for cuddling. So I made one. That one. Okay. Then I had a lot of grannies that were chunky yarn. So I made another one. And this is all, let me see if this is the front. I think so. I don't know. I can't tell. This is all chunky yarn. Now, I didn't make it very wide. The first one I made, hold on. It is 1, 2, 3, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 long. So again, it's a nice little size for a throw. This one is I only needed to do 3 across because they're super huge grannies. It's chunky yarn. So, and I did 4 down, which is as tall as I am. So yeah, hopefully I can show you. Yeah. These are all my chunky yarns left over from other projects. So that's blanket number 2. Ugly blanket number 2. Again, this one's very heavy. So that's going to go up to the cottage this weekend. And then I started another chunky one, but I decided to do, if I had grannies that were lighter colors, and I bordered it in an off-white. Now this one, as you can tell, it's got all the ends. It's not done because I made a mistake. So again, it was supposed to be, because it's chunky, 3 wide and 4 long. And for some reason, I went way too long. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 long. 5 long. And yeah, I made a mistake. I added it to the wrong side. So what I'm going to do is when I have some more lighter colored chunky yarn, I'll make some more grannies and just add another, so it's not 3 across, it's 4, so that it's not so narrow and long. But yeah, this is 6 feet long because I measured against my son, who's 6 feet tall. And again, lots of ends to be beaten. Which brings me to something. Well, I'm quite surprised that there's not a join as you go method that is continuous. I can't find one. If you guys know of a continuous method where you're not cutting, like I know it's join as you go, but you have a lot of ends. So I try to weave in the ends as I make the granny square, but there's still a lot of ends when you're joining. So if anybody knows of a better way. Now that's just the basic granny join. I'm going to show you just a basic granny join, but I'm going to try and, because I won't stop making grannies. I make grannies. I probably have another stack about like this big. I've already done grannies that they just don't match, the sizes don't match up yet, so I have to make more. So I'm not going to continue, I'm going to continue making grannies because I really enjoy them, and they're like, you know, a few minutes, 10-15 minutes, and you got yourself a granny, and then you add it to a box. So I will continue, and actually a few of my friends have already put dibs on ugly blankets. I guess it's a thing now, I don't know. But I'm going to practice other joins and see how that goes. I'm actually quite embarrassed that because isn't grannies and join as you go one of the first things you learn when you start to crochet? Not me. I started doing blankets, just going across and learning different stitches, and only, like I would say, this past winter I learned how to make a granny, and just recently learned how to join. So, and the last one, and I think it was in the first video, I was talking about this Red Heart Super Saver stripes that I got, and I bought it to make a hat, but I don't think it's very soft. So it was that really, really bright one. Oh my goodness, let me get you another one. Like really bright. So I thought, oh, I'll just make grannies out of it. So I have begun to make another granny, and I'm just bordering it orange because it's bright. Another granny, ugly granny square. And this one will probably be fought over by my sons because they really like the colors. So I've begun that. But now I only have this many. So that's obviously not going to be enough to make a blanket. So I'm going to be forced to go and get another skein or two of the super bright stripes from Red Heart. Didn't really want to, but it kind of, like, they're all really, really bright, and I don't want to add anything else to it. So that is what I've been up to all week. Now I've got 3 blankets done for the cottage. 1 I have to work on, which I'm going to take a break from, and then the bright colored one as well. I have to make more grannies and buy more yarn for that. But now I'm excited to start some other things. I'm going to take a little break from my FAL because I really want to, there's a couple of patterns that I really, really want to try. So, and yeah, I'll be doing that at the cottage this weekend. Anyway, hope everyone is doing well, and hope we are going to be having a long weekend coming up here in Ontario, and hopefully everyone enjoys their weekend as much as I will, and we'll talk soon.